This is the Arnold River Power Station, and it's been around for a number of years, and this river that flows out from here is one of the best easy rivers on the west coast. It's a really good river to learn on. I did my first Eskimo roll in this river, and I have very, very fond memories of it. And when Trustpower came to look at a big canal which is going to flow around the back of this valley parallel to the river and create a new power station here around 80-90 megawatts, kayakers looked at it, said the river has been modified, so what are the odds that we might get the river left alone?
There's been an interesting resource consent process here that's involved negotiation and compromise.
Kayakers looked at this river and the scheme that was proposed by Trustpower and looked at it, and then went away and spoke to their friends in the Forest and Bird, Fish and Game, the local council. We spoke to the mayor, we spoke to all sorts of people over here, and the general impression was that this scheme was really favoured by the local community. So who are we to come in and try and run against that? But on the other hand, we also had to make a stand about the fact that this was a river that we like paddling, and we've been paddling it for a long time.
I mean, the Arnold has been quite a contentious scheme, and I think the compromise reached, I think, is a sensible one.
We came to an arrangement to have an artificial whitewater course incorporated into the design of the canal.
The flow on from that, of course, is that we have power available for the West Coast. So I think it's a good scheme, and it will be a core part of our, I guess, sustainable supply.
It's possible to compromise and to reconcile the needs that a place has for power generation, for consumers, for the things that we want to do in our daily lives and for industry, with the natural values of a place and the recreational values of a river. So it's possible to do that on the Arnold.
We think we've lost the river. It will only flow when there's floods, but at least we get a training area which is very, very close to the city of Greymouth and very close to the Polytechnic and the local high schools.
This is a modified river, Mokihinui is unmodified. The kind of compromise we've been able to strike here, the deal that actually has seen everyone's interests well reflected, simply isn't possible on Mokihinui. It's all or nothing in that case.
A comparison of the two schemes really, it comes down to the head, the energy out of a scheme, assuming that all the turbines are equally efficient and the energy losses are the same, is Q, which is the volume, times the head. So our head is somewhere around the 400 metres, Meridian's is 80, so if you go 8 5s are 40, we produce 5 times the amount of power for an equivalent amount of water.
What the Stockton hydro scheme does is that it uses the fall of water from the Stockton plateau down to sea level to generate the electricity, and it does it through a tunnel that takes water from the current and historic coal mines up on the Stockton plateau that are quite polluted, and pulls them down through the tunnel, takes that polluted water out of the Nockawal River and discharges it out to sea. It has the benefit of generating most of the electricity that the Mokihinui scheme would do, and at the same time actually cleans up the Nockawal River and deals with that problem of acid mine drainage from the coal mines up on Stockton.
I'm a geologist by trade. I've got a small business with 20 to 30 pretty tough men, and we go around doing ground engineering, which involves bolting rocks together to make them stable or blowing them up to remove them, and thought that part of our business strategy would to be building tunnels for hydro schemes, but they were so hard to consent that sort of got pushed into doing my own. Right, so the overall scheme is really quite simple, and through a series of canals, lakes and tunnels, we can capture all the headwaters of the streams on the south side of the Nockawal that are polluted, and we can get them into a couple of points where we've got powerhouses and simply generate power. So it's a very simple scheme with robust engineering. Here we are inundating 55 hectares, and of course inundation is just total destruction. So there'll be 55 hectares of modified native bush because it's been variously mined and burnt. This is St. Pat's stream, which will produce the main volume, and it's the main, this one, there's the St. Pat's and the Mangatini are the main drains of the mine. This will be the bottom of the dam, and the dam will be up on that ridge just over there. And so we'd be in the middle of the 55 hectare lake. And if you have a look at the bottom, again, you should be able to see through that water because it's acid mine drain. There's all this big sediment load, which if something was able to survive the pH, so if they changed the pH by adding limestone, nothing's going to survive under this constant moving thing.
I haven't seen anyone oppose the Stockton proposal.
There's a real local flavour to HDL at Stockton. It's a local consortium that are actually putting that together. So there's always a bit of sympathy for the battler, if you like, on the west coast.
So it's quite a parochial local scheme. It goes into the network. That network is owned by Bull Electricity Limited, which is a community-owned trust. So that's part of where the community sees ours. Ours is kind of a mix between private and public to the local benefit.
We supported the HDL scheme on Stockton because it's actually a positive influence on the environment. It takes all this dirty water off the mining hill and takes it out to sea and stops it going into the Mokihinui River in the meantime.
The modern ethos should be polluter pays, or the state should acknowledge its liability for outside of the mining licence. So they acknowledge a liability at Stockton mine, but not these orphan areas. So most people in New Zealand, I think, would be pretty shocked. Nobody wants to own the liability, but that mine just over there was mined by the state and shut down in only 1980, which to me is quite modern, and it looks like just an industrial tip site. So we're cleaning up state legacies. So whenever you see these rocks with the colour, you know that the rainwater's got in with the oxygen, and the process of acid mine drainage is well underway. See out into the mid-distance there's a horseshoe amphitheatre shape that's all sunk down. So that's underground mine, subsided, and the water's getting in there and forming acid mine drainage. So our lake is in the background, will pick up all that. So these are these crown liabilities that nobody quite wants to address. So this is the environmental triumph of acid mine water getting dosed with limestone. So the limestone goes in and causes this flashing. At the moment it's getting dosed straight into the stream, but if that's an environmental triumph, well, it eludes me. We deliberately chose these areas, that they were geotechnically good, they were environmentally good. Yeah, you can see I think there's no doubt there's a modified environment. When you get up the Mokihinui, it's not that you couldn't make that same claim.
What can I say? It's fantastic. There's some great rapids, beautiful scenery, good company. You get a helicopter ride in. What more do you want? No, you don't find out what it takes to go down, down. So I get my dress on.
So this is the kind of thing I'd say to my wife or her friends or whatever. Get yourself on a raft, have a really amazing backcountry wilderness experience, and this is one of the best rivers to do that on, just as your first time. And that's what it needs to be kept the way it is.
I teach outdoor education, so for me, being here is to be able to relate back to students, to kids, you know, that what is the backcountry of New Zealand that they may not get to see.
You would have seen just now, Mike came out of his boat and went for a swim. His boat took off, his paddles lost, and he's swimming down a really big rapid. And Debbie, who is the smallest person on our trip, came down and offered her her boat. He grabbed the back of it and hung on, and you can see the result, which is Debbie being turned up and sent vertical and then being tipped upside down at the bottom. But she rescued Mike, and Mike and his family are sitting behind there comforting him right now. And really pleased that Debbie came along.
When we went over that big drop, I was like, thought it was all over. I was just thinking, don't drown.
She was a saviour. I'm certainly pleased to see it, that's for sure.
He always seems to pull through. He'll probably do the same thing again.